I would like to see circle teams throughout the city.
And when you say to keep law enforcement out, Mayor, there's not a case that doesn't hit me more than Reginald Thomas. I actually handled Reginald Thomas' case. He was shot and killed by Pasadena PD after he called himself for help. He called for help, and the help that arrived was lethal help because they had something that they don't work. They work business hours. They got off work at 5 o'clock, and he called at 11, so they didn't have someone on duty to respond. And there was an officer-involved shooting, and then most recently the Sonia Macy case, right? Didn't she call for police? That was a national incident. So
right.
What you're doing?
Well, you see this all over the country. I mean,
right.
When I was in Congress and I was working on the George Floyd Policing Act, and I was looking at officer-involved deaths around the country, I would say 30 to 40% of them were officers responding to a mental health crisis. So the cases that you mentioned were not the Los Angeles Police Department, but this is a national phenomena. And it is because we shredded the mental health care system many years ago, not just in L.A., not just in California, but around the country. And so you see people suffering from mental illness on the streets everywhere.
Yes. And when you mentioned the George Floyd Policing Act, Justice and Policing Act,
yes,
we actually had his brother, Phalonis Floyd, in the studio last week.
Oh, nice.
And he was at the DNC, and I asked him, actually, he called in. And I'm aware that bill got killed in the Senate, right?
Right. It passed out of the House twice, and we couldn't get it out of the Senate. But I will say that President Biden and Vice President Harris, when we weren't able to get it out of the Senate, then they took it on and did an executive order, and that executive order took as much of the bill as possible and put it in a presidential directive. So that means that as long as President Biden is there, major pieces of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act are law. Now, first of all, it's going to be President Harris. I'm just going to claim it
right now.
And so,
I'm going to stand in agreement with you on that, Mayor.
And so then I can say with a certain level of confidence that I'm sure it will be continued. I worked with Senator Harris on the George Floyd bill, and then she went on to the White House as vice president and was part of getting it in a executive order. So I wouldn't have any reason to believe that she would eliminate it.
It's close. Can you feel it?
Absolutely.
Did you feel that energy at the DNC? Tell me. Give me some of that energy.
Absolutely. It was a joyous occasion. I was just there for a day because I can't be away from Los Angeles too long. But I will tell you, in the day that I was there, just the energy, the enthusiasm, and the joyful nature of the convention, I'm not overconfident, okay? But I do have a level of confidence because of all the excitement, and I hope that everyone that is listening to this show, the minute the ballot is mailed to them, that they will fill it out and send it in right away, because we can't take anything for granted, including in our very blue state.
You got that right. It was troubling. You heard so many young folks that felt like, I don't want to vote at all because I wasn't excited about this candidate or that candidate. And then when there was a change in the ticket, there seemed to be a little bit more energy pumped into it.
Absolutely.
And the young folks felt a little bit more engaged. Did you feel that too?
100%.
And the volunteering, right?
Yes. And social media helps. I've enjoyed seeing all of the various memes that they've come up with
right?
about the vice president, and then also the Swifties for Kamala. Taylor Swift wasn't involved. It was all of her fans,
right,
who were supporting soon-to-be President Harris.
Oh, that was a great misstatement almost. I hear you. So that feels good to just hear that. Now, with all the historical things going on now, and all the positive energy, what more do you think we can tackle? Because we got to hit things while the iron is hot. Is there anything locally that you think we should be tackling that we're not quite doing yet?
Well, yes. I mean, lots of things. One thing that I think of often is that when we have the World Cup and the Olympics here, that's inviting the world into your home. And you don't want people coming over your house. If your house isn't clean, you want to clean it up first.
Exactly.
So that's the way I feel about the city, you know, and I'm hoping that Angelenos will join in and we will make our city much cleaner than it is now, getting rid of the graffiti, replacing it with murals. So we do have a lot to do. Now, the events begin the beginning of 2026 with the All-Star basketball game. Then we have the U.S. Open in golf for women. Then we have the World Cup, and there'll be 8 games that will be played here, but the World Cup lasts over 40 days. 2027, we have the Super Bowl. Then we get to the Olympics. So we have a lot of dress rehearsals.
I didn't realize the Super Bowl was coming back.
Yes, it's coming back in 2027. And so we, you know, have a little over a year and a half before the world comes, and we need to get our house in order. So, number one, people off the streets from tents into housing, not just moving them away where they move from one block to the next, but actually getting them housed.
Right.
And then making sure that the city is clean.
Well, I hear Governor Gavin Newsome is going to take lead in cleaning up the city, because I saw him here I saw him in his boots, and he was picking up trash, and he made a statement about cleaning up L.A.
Well, he is concerned about the encampments on the highways because, you know, the highways is not the city, it's not the county, it's state property.
Yes.
Caltrans. And so he wants to make sure that those are clean. And, of course, I agree with him 100%. But I do think it's important that you don't just get a person out of the tent and tell them to move away if you don't have a place for them to go.
I was confused about that, Mayor. Now, I do like Governor Gavin Newsome. I like him a lot. Of course, we all do, and we support him. But I saw a couple of clips on the news where he was somewhat inferencing that cities who aren't taking the homeless out and displacing them, he wasn't going to be giving them money, and kind of inferring that Los Angeles was one of those cities.
Yeah, but he knows that it's not true. And he said that that's not true of Los Angeles. I mean, basically, we have 58 counties in our state. And L.A. County, I believe, has been at the forefront of the city and the county working together to get people off the streets, which is why, for the first time in many years, our homeless count actually went down. So I know that he's concerned about that, but there are a lot of counties and cities who don't want anything to do with this issue and have no problem with taking their folks and sending them other places and not housing them. But that is not L.A. City, and it's not L.A. County.
So he wasn't making that inference to us here. He was talking about
I mean, I spoke with him directly.
Oh, good.
And he said that he thought what L.A. City was doing was commendable, especially the Inside Safe program. And I told him that the city and the county used to be at odds with each other, but we are not. I can't successfully house people in Inside Safe without the county's support. So we're working together.
Well, good. So that's all cleared up.
I believe that is.
Because it did look a little murky for a minute.
I know, and I explained that because I don't necessarily know that he realized that.
Oh, well, see, and if any two people can come together and communicate and clear things up, that's good. I heard you say the Inside Safe program there, Mayor.
Right.
Can you explain what that
Sure.
entails?
Inside Safe, there's a lot of programs out there that deal with homelessness, and many times people get them confused. So Inside Safe is the program out of the mayor's office that I instituted in my second week in office, and it's where we send outreach teams out to talk to people in tents and offer them housing. Now, one of the reasons why we've been successful to get people to leave is because we take people all together. We don't just pick one person here and there.
Like a group, if they're a family in the area.
What people need to understand is when you see tents, they create their own community.
Yes.
And they don't want to be separated from their community, so we take people together. And we move them to a motel. That's a very expensive proposition. We're looking for more cost-effective ways to get people off the street, but that is Inside Safe. Now, there's other programs. One program that's called Care Plus, where people are not housed. What happens is the street cleaners, LA Sanitation comes through and cleans the area, power washes the area. So people might move a few feet away and they come right back. And so a lot of times people say, well, you know, you cleaned it up and they came right back. Well, that was the intention. It was just to clean the area. So there wasn't the goal of housing people. Inside safe, we don't do that. We house the people.
And sometimes what's confusing to some folks who might be urging folks to move the homeless out, it's confusing that some people don't always want to go into housing.
Yeah, it's very rare, though. It's very, very rare that people turn us down. But in the past, people would turn down folks because they didn't want to be in the type of they didn't want to be in a shelter where it's a big space with a whole bunch of cots, because they felt unsafe. They would get assaulted. There would be criminal activity there. What we're doing, it's very, very rare that people turn us down. And when people do turn us down, it's usually because they're so severely mentally ill or addicted that they feel they can't be inside.
Wow.
And some people who are mentally ill, you know, you can be ill to the point where you're not sure if you're inside or outside.
Yes, you can. Mayor, is there any other programs or any other announcements that you wanted to let the folks?
Sure. Well, in addition to Circle, you know, we have built an alliance with every level of government. Now we are going into the private sector and doing a public-private partnership so that we can get the type of investments that are needed so we can buy properties. Because although we are expediting the building of housing, we also need to just buy properties. Because expediting, it still takes months and months and months to get something built. We have to get people off the streets as soon as possible. So we're acquiring hotels, motels, apartment buildings. We are looking to do that as well.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Why don't we take a break here, Mayor, at KJLH 102.3 FM.
Speak loud. Speak now. It's time to get election focused with Election Talk, hosted by attorney Caree Harper.
This is Caree Harper, and I'm here at KJLH again for Election Talk. I'm going to be here every single Tuesday until Election Day from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. We're going to do current political events. We're going to have political power players and, of course, the judicial candidates, because, as you know, it is all about the judges. So tune in 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. every Tuesday on KJLH 102.3, because we are you.
Listen to Election Talk every Tuesday at 5 a.m. through Election Tuesday. Listen with your ears with on-demand podcasts now at kjlhradio.com.
Okay, all right. And we're back on Election Talk, and we're still here with the wonderful Mayor Karen Bass in studio. Mayor, I remember the campaign between yourself and Rick Caruso, and I remember thinking, gosh, some of the things that you overcame in that campaign with that guy and some of the things he was saying, I haven't seen him do anything since he ran for mayor. Are you able to comment at all on that? I haven't seen. Well,
I just am so grateful that Angelenos believed in me and knew that, the work I'd been doing over the years, that I was running for the right reasons. And I have focused on everything that I said I was going to focus on, and I'm not going to stop until we have solved these problems. My heart and soul is in this work, and a lot of what I'm doing as mayor, I've been involved in for many, many years. When I started Community Coalition in 1990, which was when homelessness was really beginning, and we were seeing people on the streets, I was working on those issues then. But it's taken a long time to actually be in a position where I could have hands-on to make a difference. I was involved in policies in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. to help with the problem. But now to be in the catbird seat where I get to focus on this and literally get to go out and talk to people in the tents and watch them leave those tents and go into hotels. Some folks just sit there and cry. They asked us things like, am I going to be able to take a shower? And I didn't know I was ever going to leave the streets. I thought I was going to die like this. And knowing that black folk are only 8% of the population, but over 30% of the people in tents. And to know that the fastest growing sector of people who are unhoused are senior citizens, elders who are in their late 60s and 70s.
Really?
Who have been priced out of the market. Or young people in the foster care system who we make homeless.
Wow.
When they turn 18 or 21, we literally put them on the street.
Yes. Why is that?
Well,
why are the
those
services taken at that young age?
Those are our policies now. We do have some help. There is transitional living space for young people in the foster care system, but not enough. And frankly, I don't care what background you come from. As an 18-year-old, you can't support yourself without the help of others.
Right.
And if you don't have a family, then what do you expect? Veterans, we make them homeless too.
Yes.
Because if a veteran gets their benefits, veteran benefits, we count it as income. And then we say they make too much money, so we can't give them housing. So a lot of our policies are broken. They contribute to homelessness, and that's what we have to change. And so I'm trying to approach it on every single level, on the policy level in Washington, D.C. and Sacramento, on the ground here in L.A. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today, and I hope to come back.
Oh, we look forward to you coming back, and we can't wait to see you then. And if any of our KJLH family members want to get in touch with the mayor, please do so at lamayor.org, lamayor.org. Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much. Have a wonderful
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.